Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Surprise, surprise, Grinding Gear Games listened to us and they just dropped some patch notes. I'm not going to get into the full details of the patch note. That's already old news. Everybody's aware of it. But I do want to mention that it is covering a lot of good things regarding gameplay features, stuff that we already kind of knew regarding the fast travel between checkpoints. They're finally fixing Trials of Secamus, which needed a huge change. And the honor system, personally, I stay away from it. So there's changes coming to the Trial of Secamus. They're balancing endgame and monsters. There's character and itemization balance. There's skill and support gem balance. It's all here, guys. It's all great news. There are some nerfs coming as well, and some builds haven't been impacted, some have. Anyway, all the details will be, I'll link the patch notes in the body of this video, just in case you're living under a rock and you haven't seen them already. But the point of this video is I wanted to add to a couple of more things that I feel need to be changed or at least considered. Now, this isn't a complaint, it's just a wish list, and please chime in, let me know how you feel. Personally, I'm having an amazing time playing this game. I think once Grinding Gear Games listens to all the feedback as we all progress through early access, when we get to the end of the road in 6, 9, 12 months, however long early access is going to be, I think this game is going to be, and I will continue to say this, is going to be state of the art, the best ARPG out there. And I just, before we get into my suggestions, I want to compliment, obviously, all the players that are providing this feedback, but also Grinding Gear Games for having the aptitude to listen, take it in, and do what's right for the game. So hats off to Grinding Gear Games. I'm not shocked. I'm sure none of you are surprised. This is all going to get ironed out, guys. And I keep saying this on my stream. I totally see and support how Grinding Gear Games is doing this. It's difficult to tone a game down, but it's easy to tone a game up, if you know what I mean. This is why the game is, I believe, so toned up right now with the level of difficulty and everything. It's easier for them to ease the reins than it would be the other way around. So I think this was the only way to do it, but let me know if you disagree. Okay, so let's get into my suggestions for a couple of more fine-tuning items that I think would make the quality of life and the fun factor and the experience for new players and old players and everyone in between. It would just make it a more better experience. So the first thing I want to discuss is resistances. Now, in Path of Exile 1, as we progressed through Act 1 to Act 10, you kind of had to pay attention to your resistances like you do in most video games, if it exists, and you wanted to hit cap as soon as possible. Now, in Path of Exile 1, people got their cap res with fire, cold, and lightning, and really a lot of us, when it came to the chaos resistance, as long as it was 0, 20, 30%, you could do the campaign. Really, the game didn't punish you that bad. Well, in Path of Exile 2, chaos damage is huge, and it is all over the campaign and in maps. Now, the patch notes and the updates that Grinding Gear Games have made kind of addresses some of it, but not all of it. So I would like to suggest a new way of handling resistances. Now, in Path of Exile 1, we had the crafting bench, and you can slice and dice your resistances. For example, if you required fire, you go to the crafting bench, you'd put on fire res if you didn't have it on the gear, and you mixed and matched until you hit the cap. Now, sometimes you were overtuned on one resistance. Let's say fire, you had like 120 fire res. Well, you only needed 75. You could go to the crafting bench and you could take off, let's say your boots had fire res, you could take off the fire res and you could replace it with, let's say you were not at cap for cold res. So you would replace that fire resistance with cold resistance right on the boots on the crafting bench, and now you have cap res on cold. So that's how it's dealt with in Path of Exile 1. In Path of Exile 2, our means of handling resistances are several ways. Number one, and as you can see here, I am deficient in lightning, like it's going out of style. Now, I do want to say this before you guys all start laughing. This is my sorceress, level 71. This character has been to hell and back. This character was greatly nerfed to the ground from the cast on freeze nerf. This character literally is dead right now. I did everything I could. I wasted so much gold. I wasted so much currency. It's not even funny. It's actually the surplus that I thought I did have for my alts has basically been depleted. So please remember that. This is the situation, but I wanted to demonstrate it because she is minus 18 in lightning. So how do we handle resistances in Path of Exile 2? So basically, just like in Path of Exile 1, we have prefixes and suffixes on our gear, which we can get in order to handle the resistances. That's one way. Well, in order to do that, we require an orbit. Now, I'm talking about just handling with a base. Of course, we get rares that drop with resistances. I'm not talking about that, okay? But you will require, it'll never come stacked, right? We can have up to 6 prefixes on a rare item, but at the base level, we need to spend an orb of transmutation, an orb of augmentation, and then we change the magic item and we regal it to make it a rare, and then we use an exalted to continue to add modifiers to it to a maximum of 6. Now, herein lies the problem. Now, I don't see a problem with the orbs of transmutation and the orbs of augmentation. If you play the game, you're going to get a ton of them. And as a matter of fact, they've already addressed this. They have ramped up the currency drops. However, the problem becomes that this is so RNG. Now, I would have way more alks and way more exalted if I didn't have this issue that my build was nerfed to the ground. So this is a little bit misleading. You guys are probably going to have a lot more. But my point is, you are going to deplete your regals and exalteds if you have horrible RNG when it comes to crafting resistances on your gear. And therein lies my solution, because the second way we can add resistances to our gear and weapons is through the ruin system. Okay, so ruins again drop in game, so there's RNG in that as well. Now they do drop a lot, but again, it's RNG related. And I say it's RNG related, and you can kind of corner yourself into a back of a wall kind of situation, that you run out of the resistances that resistant ruins that you're going to use for your gear. And if you don't, it's just a vicious cycle, I guess is what I'm getting at. Okay, so let's say I get a better body armor than this one, right? And this one, all it has is cold res on it. Now, don't look at the ruins that are assigned to my gear, because I was going in a direction with energy shield and it bit me in the butt, but that's another story. But the problem is we can't remove runes from our gear. So if I were to get a nice base, and let's say I was lucky enough to get and have to replace this, then I would have to go and hope that I had the ruins the resistance ruin that I needed. Fire, cold, lightly, chaos, whatever, right? My point is this: if you have bad RNG, you could really be depleting a lot of your currencies. So I don't like the fact that the crafting and the ruin, there's RNG in there. And if you have bad RNG, you could really be here a long time trying to optimize and cap your resistances, when all they would have to do is allow us to remove ruins. And I guess my first suggestion is, please RNG, please GGG, not RNG, please Grinding Gear Games, if you could consider allowing us to remove ruins. It was so easy in Path of Exile 1 dealing with resistances and getting to cap. Now, I'm not saying we need to be hand-fed, but it does seem like a monumental task right now when it comes to hitting cap with our resistances. And I think you've increased the currency drops. That's great. And I don't have a problem with the way crafting is right now, at least the entry to mid-level. I haven't gotten to the end game crafting. But this is, by allowing us to remove the ruins, I think will give us a better facilitation of hitting cap. And Path of Exile 2 looks like having capped resistances means more in Path of Exile 2. So I think we need to have a better avenue to get it. Right now, like in my situation with my sorceress, I'm screwed unless I get a really good drop with the resistances I need, or I get amazing RNG with me crafting that base. So just something to consider. And problem number 2, because my class got nerfed, I can't respec my ascendancy. Now, I've tried every build known to man, at least with my knowledge, and with some help of other content creators. I've tried everything with the Stormweaver, but to no avail. I am not making it work. Now, I have found a solution, but it requires me to ascend to the Chronomancer ascendancy with the Sorceress. Well, I can't. So in essence, my build is bricked. Now, I can continue to try to find solutions, and who knows, maybe they do exist, but I have 42,000 gold left, and I've already spent hundreds of thousands buying stuff, respecking the nodes on my passive skill tree. It's just, I don't want to do it anymore. So allowing us to respec our ascendancies, I think, is something Grinding Gear Games needs to consider. Now, I have to say, of my 2 suggestions, this is the one where I'm not 100% convinced it's the right thing to do. And I'm being completely honest here. I don't know if this can lead to problems down the road when this game comes out of early access to full release. I don't know. However, it would help tremendously right now if that was possible. Now, I know this is an outlier. I would hope nerfing builds to the ground is not something that's going to be common in this game. However, put that aside, and I know this is an anomaly right now. Does allowing players the capability of playing around with different builds and different ascendancies, is that a problem to Grinding Gear Games? Is it an issue? Initially, my gut reaction to that question is, why would they be? Why would you handcuff players? If they want to try different builds, that means replayability. It probably means they're having fun because they're trying different builds and trying to get to a place where they're having more fun and they're getting through the content. That's my initial gut reaction. So this one of my two, I'm on the fence. So why don't you? I would be happy for you guys to chime in and let me know what you think. But personally, I think this is something that needs to be at least looked at and assessed whether this is something viable in this game. Okay, so that's pretty cut and dry, guys. I have two suggestions. Again, they're suggestions, and I say suggestions because I want to be very careful, like critiquing the crap out of this game, because I look forward to playing this game every day. I love it. It's so much fun. Yes, the difficulty's ramped up. Yes, it's very different than Path of Exile 1, but it should be, in my opinion. So I just want to put it out there. I'm not saying these are must-dos in order for the game to be good or have fun, but I just think it, again, I'm going to continue to shout this out on as loud as I can. To me, one of many reasons why this game was created was Grinding Gear Games wanted to appeal to a wider audience. They realized the capabilities and that Path of Exile 1 was capped and they couldn't reach out to more. So with that in mind, these are why I'm suggesting these two solutions that potentially would make it easier for new players and old players and everyone in between. At least that's what I think. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear them. And as always, we're streaming this game every evening on Twitch. Channel name is SamyCaps, sorry. Come on over and say hello. We'd love to have you. We have a cool, chill community, like I always say. And as always, we look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. The opinions expressed in this video are mine and solely mine. Healthy debate is always encouraged. Hate is never welcomed. So get over it.